We're in the final hours of the AP poll, being the one we refer to constantly here in Studio 44, because the CFP committee is going to unveil its first rankings of the season. We got the AP up there, though, for reference. What are we looking forward to seeing from the committee when their first poll, their first set of rankings comes out tonight? Rick's pointing at something.
I want to know where they are.
Indiana.
Yes. I want to know the litmus test that they feel about how significant that team, how well they've played. And if they're there, if they're down 8-9, then we'll know that they are brand conscious only in the committee.
Because if Indiana was spelled Texas,
yes,
they might be one or two.
Any other brand, they'd be at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of those brands ahead of them, they would definitely be at the top if they had that moniker. BYU as well. They're having a fabulous undefeated season. You look at Miami, and the way they've been winning, their defense isn't great. I'm going to say it's not championship quality. And see how they view them.
It's going to be really interesting. You look at last year when the first poll came out, it was right down Main Street. You had a group of undefeateds at the top, a group of one-losses, predominantly the SEC and the Big Ten. With all of these one-loss teams, how are they going to view a Miami that's won but ain't played nobody? How are they going to view a Notre Dame that lost to a 4-4 NIU team but had a decent win against a Louisville team that just beat Clemson? So there's a lot of stacking of the deck and a lot of the eye tests that's going to take place. And I think what this first poll will show us is how they're kind of viewing things. I think we're going to have to go back to strength of schedule, quality wins, quality losses, game control, all that other stuff that we had way back in the day.
BCS, you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, there's 4 SEC, there's 4 Big Ten, and then just kind of go where you want. And you got to remember, we're going to look, when this whole thing is over, you're going to have the 4 conference champions, and then everybody scrambling for 7 spots. And as of now, that one group of 5 team who's represented there by Boise at number 12 is going to get that slot. Watch what that happens. When that happens, there's going to be anarchy.
So who in your mind is number 2, Georgia or Ohio State? Who do you think is going to get that nod?
Man.
I think it's going to be Georgia. They actually went to number 1 Texas and drubbed them at home. Completely overpowered Texas in their backyard. I think you have to give them that nod at number 2.
But look at Ohio State. Their one loss is on the road in a hair by the chinny chin chin game to the number 1 team. When you compare the resumes from that standpoint, it almost seems like Ohio State should be there.
The number 1 team now.
And
They weren't at the time.
And the reason I think that's important is because if Georgia is number 2, and I'm with you, I think they probably will be. If in fact that's the case, then that's a lean towards the SEC. Yeah. And with a couple of, and not wild happenings down the stretch, we could end up with 7 10-2 teams in the SEC.
And so what I'm also curious about is not really on this page. It's where they put the 2-loss behemoth programs. Take that whole chunk from the SEC. That is LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama. Where are they going to be when the committee unveils
one
their
of those 2, LSU, Alabama, will not just have 2
Alabama
losses.
down there hanging on by their fingernails.
That's a playoff game.
And what they're saying is they're looking at schedules individually, not taking into context the strength of the schedule of how good the SEC is this year, how good or not the Big Ten is this year. But we're going to see there are going to be some decisions to be made.
And head-to-head will only last so long as we go down the road here through November. We'll have our reactions, of course, to the CFP committee's first poll on our Inside College Football show on CBS Sports Network tonight.